All right, let's have some fun, y'all. So, Christie dropped out of the race the other day, and we talked about why that matters, right? Because most of his supporters are now going to go directly to Nikki, who's already in the midst of a surge. Now, these are all in this. The word surge is in relative terms because Trump still has a giant lead, and nobody should think otherwise. But it does set up an interesting dynamic because if he officially endorsed Nikki Haley, would that mean instead of 75 or 80% of his supporters going to her, would 95% of his supporters go to her? And by the way, just so everybody knows, yeah, he was at 2% or 3% or something nationally, but in New Hampshire, he was actually over 10%. So that also matters for New Hampshire. So really interesting dynamic. Anyway, he drops out, sees the writing on the wall, realizes that his number one goal is to take down Trump. I clearly am not in a position to do that. I'm lagging way too far behind nationally. He wasn't doing well in Iowa either. He was only doing well in New Hampshire. So he drops out. What's interesting is right before he gave his speech saying that he was dropping out, he got caught on a hot mic behind the scenes, and he was spilling all the tea. So this is really interesting. Let's watch and we'll break it down.
They don't want to hear it. We know we're right, but they don't want to hear it.
Right.
And there's, we couldn't have been any clearer.
Right.
We couldn't have been any more direct or worked any harder. So,
and let's not forget she spent $68 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent
when you give land to China and places like that.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment, And she's going to get smoked, and you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even been challenged.
She's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
And, And he's still going to carry Iowa, right?
Yes. Oh, I talked to DeSantis called me. Petrified that I would.
He's probably getting out after Iowa.
He said DeSantis called me petrified. Why was DeSantis petrified? Because he thought, oh no, Christie's going to drop out and endorse Nikki Haley, and if he does that, my campaign is toast. Because then she beats me in Iowa, she smokes me in New Hampshire, and it's very clear she's the only alternative to Trump in the race. And so DeSantis was calling him like, hey man, hey, you good, bro? Like, hey, you made a good run at it. What are you planning on doing, homie? You're not gonna endorse, right? Don't endorse anybody. He called him petrified. I wonder if DeSantis had the balls to ask for an endorsement of him. I don't think he did, because it was very clear that DeSantis is sort of going more the Vivek route than the Nikki or Chris Christie route. He's going more the only time I'm going to criticize Trump is going to be very tepid and very measured and around the edges, and I'm mostly going to defend Trump. So I don't think he had the balls to ask. The other really interesting part is he says, oh, Nikki's going to get smoked. We know she's not up to this. Damn, son. Damn. I'd be interested to ask him to dig deeper into that and ask him, why do you think she's going to get smoked? Is it because of a fundamental weakness of hers, where she doesn't attack Trump strongly enough, or she's not using the right arguments? Or is it just a fundamental problem with the Republican voting base, right? Because it looks to me like Christie's become more and more doomer-pilled over time, where he's like, look, I couldn't have been more clear. I couldn't have been more direct or straightforward. I said it exactly how I wanted to say it. And still, they're just not budging. These people are not budging. And so the only thing that could defeat Trump, I agree with Christie on this, the only thing that can defeat Trump is Trump. So, in other words, looks like he's going to win the primary, right? It's not totally set yet, but it's very likely. And if he wins the primary, the thing that would take him down is, before the general election, being found guilty on one of his 91 criminal charges. And look, the Republican primary is one thing. It is true. His numbers have gone up with every indictment, with every new criminal charge, with every new attempt to take him off the ballot in Colorado and Maine and elsewhere. He's gone up and up and up with every attack against him. But what's also true is, in a general election, every criminal charge, every indictment, all those things hurt him. They hurt him big time. And the polls show very clearly that in a general election, if his ass is convicted of a felony, he's going to lose. Even up against somebody as horrific as Biden, who is currently supporting Netanyahu carpet bombing babies, who, his polls are at a record low 33%. But maybe the only person in the country Joe Biden could beat in a general election is Donald Trump after being convicted of a felony. So, I don't know. we'll see what happens. But man, he's got some thoughts, doesn't he? He's like, Nikki's going to get smoked. She's not strong enough for this. DeSantis called me petrified. And then he was bragging about, like, I spent way less than they did, and I was still hanging in there in New Hampshire with them. So who's really punching above their weight? Man, I love to be a fly on the wall for the rest of this guy's thoughts, because I'm curious how doomer-pilled he is with the Republican base. Because he was certainly the strongest anti-Trump, but he's also, don't get it twisted, a very, very conservative guy on the actual policies, So, and he's the only one of all of them who said, look, if Trump's convicted, I can't vote for him. I can't do that. That's insane. And he said he wouldn't vote for Biden or Trump in a general election. And that's caused some controversy. So anyway, there you go. Christie giving us all the interesting little tidbits.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.